Africa is by far the poorest continent on planet Earth, and the poorest continent throughout history, despite having also by far the most potential. But Africa isn't just blessed with natural resources, it is also strategically the best positioned landmass on planet Earth. The continent sits at the crossroads of the Atlantic and Indian Oceans, right on the world's busiest trade routes. Beneath its soil lie by far the most of the metals that drive modern civilization. Gold, lithium, platinum, cobalt, manganese, rare earths, uranium, copper, iron, I could go on. It has 40% of the planet's arable land for agriculture, the largest solar energy potential on planet Earth, enormous rivers and hydropower potential, vast natural gas and oil reserves, the second most in the entire Earth, just say for the Middle East, colossal forests, and the youngest population in the world. By every measurable economic standard, minerals, agriculture, energy, oceans, geography, and demographics, Africa should be an economic powerhouse. But the reality is that the exact opposite is happening in Africa. Africa's GDP per capita is 3 times less than the second poorest continent on Earth, Asia, and more than 30 times less than the wealthiest continent, North America. What makes things even worse is that when you compare only sub-Saharan Africa to other continents, the picture looks way more dire. Sub-Saharan Africa has far more economic potential than North Africa, which is essentially just one big desert. And yet, Sub-Saharan Africa's GDP per capita is not only 3 times less than North Africa's, it is an astonishing 48 times less than North America and 44 times less than Australasia. If we take a broader and more holistic view of the matter, the overall development index for Africa looks just as bad when compared to other parts of the world. The Human Development Index takes into account everything from income to education and life expectancy. Here too, Africa ranks dead last. And it's not even remotely a close race. But why is it that Africa has always been so poor? And why has this always remained the case throughout history? In this video, we provide a full analysis of the economic reason why this continent continues to lag so far behind the others today. Yes, when Europeans started colonizing Africa in the 17th century, virtually all sub-Saharan African cultures were still living in the Stone Age. But ever since, they have equal access to the same technology the rest of the world enjoys. Yet, they still lag equally far behind that they did when they were still in the Stone Age. Africa has more economic potential than any other continent on the planet. In terms of just natural resources, Africa has the highest potential not only in terms of critical minerals, agricultural land and water, renewable energy, and it is second only behind the Middle East, as I mentioned, in oil and gas reserves. Yet, the real reason Africa ought to be wealthier than everywhere else goes beyond the minerals and the soil and the location. In an age where innovation, energy transition, battery technology, rare earth supply chains, advanced agriculture and renewable power define the global economy, Africa sits on the very inputs of whatever the world needs most to drive modern civilization. This continent is not simply very resource rich. It holds many of the raw materials for the next industrial revolution, and for many of these materials, Africa is one of the only places where you can find them, or in the case of something like uranium, Africa has by far the most of the stock in the world, and this is a very rare resource found in not many countries. From cobalt to platinum group metals for green tech, from solar radiation levels unmatched on Earth to vast uncultivated fertile land mass, Africa has the kind of strategic economic field that Silicon Valley, Europe and China would absolutely kill to have. Meaning, Africa should not just compete with the richest regions in the world by rights, it should lead the world. The total value of all untapped minerals under the African soil is more than twice the rest of the world combined. Yet, it has never been the case that Africa came even close to the wealth of any of the other inhabitable continents, and most likely never will. African countries, especially after decolonization, have simply proven themselves incapable of utilizing this God-given potential to the way that the people of other continents have. And one of the core reasons for this is that Africa has never developed the much needed division of labor upon which through economic growth and civilization as a whole actually is built. While in the rest of the world there were agricultural revolutions which had led to commercial farming from the very dawn of humanity, this never happened in Africa. In Yuval Harari's groundbreaking book entitled Sapiens, A Brief History of Humanity, he highlights that agricultural revolutions took place since the very dawn of humanity all over the world, starting in ancient Mesopotamia as the cradle of humanity. One of the hallmarks of these agricultural revolutions was the creation of commercial farming, surplus food production, and the emergence of a stable, specialized society. Because once the most basic requirement for human activity, food, was taken care of by the farmers, this freed up the rest of the population to engage in other activities. In other words, instead of everyone laboring daily as hunters and gatherers just to survive the next day, the first commercial farmers ensured that there was a sufficient steady food supply, allowing the rest of the population to engage in other productive careers needed to further civilization. So, the first craftsmen, traders, administrators, soldiers, and even scholars emerged from early civilization. Africa never had commercial farmers. Africa never had the need to have commercial farmers, but we'll get to that later in the video. Commercial farmers are the first and foremost requirement to build civilization. Therefore, Africa could never build civilization. In regions such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, and later Europe, this early specialization process produced cities, irrigation systems, writing, mathematics, metallurgy, and trade networks. By contrast, sub-Saharan Africa remained dominated by either subsistence herding or small-scale shifting agriculture for most of history, and also, of course, hunter-gatherer communities. These agricultural revolutions never took place in African tribal societies and never shaped the sub-Saharan African culture up until the arrival of European settlers around 400 years ago. The reason for this is quite simple. Africa is a very easy place to survive compared to a place like Europe, for example. In Africa, food is abundant just by nature. There's so many things growing in the fields and so many animals walking around that can be utilized for food that it wasn't necessary for Africans to ever develop their agricultural system. Furthermore, African winters are not harsh. Yes, it may become a little bit colder in winter than in summer, but the grass still grows. In many areas it still rains, plants still grow, and it never gets cold enough for people to die. In contrast, in many European countries, especially if you go more north in Europe to Germany, Scandinavia, etc., during winter, nothing survives. And if you do not prepare for winter, you die. During the summer months, you need to produce enough food, produce enough firewood or whatever you use to produce heat during the cold nights of winter. Otherwise, you'll die either of hunger or of the cold. Because Africa is such an easy place to survive, Africans never needed to do this. And in the process, they never had this division of labor where some people who were commercial farmers and produced food for the rest of society, and the rest of society could develop into other trades or into scholars, people who for instance, develop a written language. If you have to hunt and gather all day just to survive the next day, you are not going to develop a written language. For example, if you do not have a written language, you do not have the means to produce philosophy and science and so on and so forth. It remains mind-boggling that European and Asian societies managed to create these complex civilizations characterized by highly advanced hydraulics, mechanics, surveying, architecture, literature, philosophy, many thousands of years before Africa had any alphabets or written languages. In fact, for sub-Saharan Africa, alphabets and written language had to be invented for them by European missionaries. This means that a culture that develops the intellect of its people over many generations was never formed in Africa because Africa never had farmers. One of the main economic reasons for this is that the very basis for any kind of division of labor and growth in productivity is this successful commercial farming, something that has never been part of the African culture. In South Africa, in particular, it has been the descendants of the Dutch, French and Germans, known as the Afrikaner or Boer people today, that have effected the much needed agricultural revolution in this part of the world since their arrival in the 16th century. From 1652 onward, the Cape of Good Hope witnessed the gradual emergence of European-style division of labor that always begins to reshape the region's economy. What started as a small refreshment station under Jan van Riebeeck rapidly expanded into a structured agriculture base and trading settlement, with Dutch, French and later German settlers introducing systematic farming practices, viticulture, new livestock management techniques and grain production, learning from one another to create this agriculture-based society. This resulted in a surplus production, which increased specialized roles such as millers, bakers, carpenters, cookers, blacksmiths, wagon builders, traders, administrative officials, etc., which lays the foundations for the diversified and interdependent economy required to establish civilization on the Dark Continent. This is how civilization was brought to South Africa. The Cape's location on a global trade route further accelerated this process of building civilization here at the southern tip of the Dark Continent. As the settlement became integrated into international supply networks, attracting merchants, artisans and labor systems that together established the first sustained modern division of labor in all of Southern Africa for that matter. This complex or little bit more complex economic structure, rooted in specialization and surplus agricultural production, set the stage for broader industrial and agricultural development in the region in the centuries that followed. As the Voortrekkers moved inland, our ancestors established agricultural-based republics, which formed the necessary foundation for the development of the mining industry that eventually led to South Africa being by far the richest and most developed country on the African continent, richer and more developed even than any of the northern African countries. All of this wealth, which to this day benefits not only every person in this country, but the continent as a whole, came by virtue of the very people that the ANC government now persecutes and suppresses by means of discriminatory legislation, excluding white people from the labor market and threatening to expropriate our productive farmland that is feeding this continent currently without compensation. This is not justice or transformation, this is a political agenda that will destroy the very foundations of civilization in Southern Africa, our agricultural sector, via an attack upon the very industry that makes human progress and civilizational development possible in the first place, commercial farming. In a recent video, we highlighted the astonishing fact that despite all the rhetoric and noise from the radical Pan-Africanists left in South Africa, black South Africans actually already own more fertile farmland ripe for agricultural exploits, even per capita, than the citizens of any first world European nation. And yet, despite this fact, children starve to death in this country every day. Black South Africans, despite sitting on all of this very high potential agricultural land, in 2025 still didn't develop commercial farming. Watch that video by simply clicking on the link appearing on your screen right here. And remember to become a member of the Willem Petscher group. Just simply follow the steps on the banner underneath me. We need your support in order to make these videos to change the hearts and minds of people. Goodbye and God bless.